Episode number 216.
Whatever you're doing now is going to dictate what you are going to be in the future. If you're going to be a collegiate baseball player or professional baseball player, we're not even there yet. So let's focus on the process so that drives the results to get us to where we're at.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I'm pumped up today, and after this show, I think you're going to have your game face on because we are bringing you our featured guest today, Grant Parr. Grant, are you ready to be real?
Oh, I'm ready to go.
My man's ready to go, and he is the owner of Game Face Performance. My man's got a master's degree in sports psychology, and he's all about athlete optimization and also connecting that body and mind. And that money, but there's a connection there, folks, between our minds and our bodies and what we do with that. And also, he's a podcaster. He has the 90% Mental podcast. So we're excited to have you on the show today. First, like I do all the guests, how's your day going today?
Oh man, today is awesome, man. I'm starting off the week in the right direction. I'm about a half an hour away of working with my basketball team. So
nice.
I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I know your background is in sports psychology, but what made you get in really fully into the performance and putting that game face on for these athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll give you the cliff notes because it could be a very long story. So, my background as an athlete and a coach, I spent 13 years, playing football, and I was a quarterback, and I actually had the opportunity as a kid to not specialize and play almost every sport. I mean, I played baseball, basketball, football, soccer, track. So,
wow.
So there's,
real athlete, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. So long story short, what got me to get into this profession and find my purpose is my career-ending injury that I had in college football. So I got hurt in my sophomore year, but I kept playing through it my junior year, and then my body told me to stop. And so I had a hip injury, and for 2 decades I had to deal with. Man, it was very, very, very tough what I had to go through. I had 2 hip replacements on the same hip before I was 40. Yeah, lost my identity, went through some depression. Had a hard time talking to you about all the records that I broke, the teams that that I was on, and the touchdowns that I threw. It was a tough time. So as I re-engineered myself and reignited this to within me, I got to a point where I needed to kind of change my life and get back to really who I was, but not to be the old Grant, but to be a new Grant. So when I went back to school and got my master's in sports psychology, that's when I started playing a big game. And I started getting really involved in working with athletes and also executives as well. Right. And so that's kind of the adversity that I went through and the path and the journey that I had to deal with my career-ending injury led me to this point.
And shout out to you for changing your mindset about that, because I'm sure a lot of people, will always rest on the laurels of what they were doing on the field.
Right.
And it's hard not to. I'm sure you're a good quarterback. You're making things happen. You got lots of the excitements and the level of intensity. And then to go off that and say, well, shit, I'm not going to be in the NFL because I'm, not able to make it as far as like my body, and think about, even if you do make the NFL, folks, I mean, the career there is like only 2.5 years or so, if you're lucky.
Right.
So
totally, yeah.
Many great athletes don't even make it to the NFL. And, a lot of some of the best athletes weren't even drafted in the NFL. They weren't drafted, and all of a sudden they just found a way to get on that damn field.
Exactly.
So, I've recently seen something too, which is very interesting. I think that they said that every NFL team now is having to hire or look at a psychologist or someone to be helping them on the field with their mindset or off the field with their mindset. Is that a new trend? I recently just ran across an article or I saw a video about it.
Well, I think within the NFL, I would say yes for the most part. I mean, there have been sports psychologists on staff for NFL, but to me, from where I'm sitting, I think when you look at Major League Baseball and you look at NBA, they're way ahead of the game when it comes to having mental performance coordinators or coaches or directors or sports psychologists on staff. Major League Baseball, I believe, outside of the Olympics, they've been pushing this since the 70s and the 80s.
Wow.
So, but I think it's just, and again, I can dissect from my perspective why it's taken so long for the NFL to kind of to jump on. But I think it's just we have so much awareness around mental performance and mental skills training and mental health.
Right.
And we've seen and we've heard these crazy stories of, obviously with CTE, I mean, that adds another element, but these football players that are transitioning out of sport, like you said, it's just it's a short ride.
Right.
And if you're not doing the right things to get prepared for that transition financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, it could be tough on athletes. So I think, the NFL is investing more into these resources to take care of their players, while they're playing the game, but also set them up for success when they leave the game.
For the alumni, yeah. For all those athletes that, had a 5-10 year career, but now they're dealing with other issues, injuries.
Yeah.
They don't got anything going on. I mean, you folks, if you only made 5 or 10 years of big money, and then next thing you know, you're living your lifestyle, shit, that money's going to go up quick. I mean, look at some of the most famous athletes. I was just reading, recently saw some stuff about Evander Holyfield. Dude made $250 something million in the 80s and 90s, folks. Like, not today's money. Like, this dude would be a billionaire if he had just invested in Google and Facebook and Amazon and just had the right people around him. But a lot of times it's not, I think it's the people also around these folks, that they're telling them, they're guiding them to certain deals, and they're saying, hey, I got a friend that knows how to do real estate. I remember hearing T-Pain. I don't know if you remember T-Pain, the music artist, blew so much damn money, not only on cars and strippers and stuff, but on bad real estate investments. Someone said, hey, buy this apartment, complex in the hood. Well, folks, that works out in some cases, but if you don't know and you're not working in that business, you can't just be throwing your money around. I think that's the biggest problem with professional sports, is that they get paid a high premium for the time that they're shining. But then when the lights are off, I mean, shit, what do you do? Do you have a transition? Are you thinking about that? Is your game face on to take on the regular life? I'm sure there's many stories where people have to go back to a humbling job where they're like working at a gas station or, doing something real simple just to survive, or even people like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, where they've had hundreds of millions of dollars and now they have to sell the mansions. They're living in a small little apartment, I mean, something about that, right? I mean, the mindset. Do you find that, I think probably, like I would think, is that when they're in the zone, when you're the hot player, when you're the athlete, you're not thinking about these things. You're kind of, shit, I'm the shit. I'm on the field. I'm balling, whatever. And they're not really thinking like, oh, this is going to have an end.
Well, I think it's there's been a shift. I think, obviously with social media,
right,
and media as a whole, I think when we hear of things, good or bad, we have access to these stories, and when there's more access to resources to help people. But I think back in the day when I competed, maybe the last decade, probably in the early maybe 2000s, yeah, I would agree with you. There's probably a lot of athletes they're in their prime, they're enjoying it. They're like, I'm living it, and they're not thinking about doing the right things. They're not thinking about the people around them per se. Right. When you think about Evander, he had people writing checks for him, and they were managing them, and he didn't know. He didn't know some of the decisions were happening. And,
oh my God.
And when you think about Terrell Owens, same thing. He almost went bankrupt because all of his friends were soaking his money. And Terrell Davis, who is a former running back for the Broncos, he's got a campaign now called Write Your Own Check. Ooh. And he's like, don't let anybody write checks for you. You need to know what's going in and out of your bank account. You need to know in and out of all your investments, everything. You need to be involved. So it's kind of a cool thing. So I think, there's a lot of awareness. I think right now there's just a big push on making sure people are being taken care of.
Absolutely. So then that gets me into the mindset and how you help athletes perform. When you sit down with a team or you sit down with an athlete, where's the first place to look? What do you first look at?
It's different for every athlete and for every team and for every coach. Because I also work with coaches. So it depends on what they want to work on. Gotcha. Now again, I personally, this is just my perspective. I don't think that an athlete, a team, or a coach, I don't think they're broken. I don't think they need to be fixed. I have different language. So I either address it or enhance it. So if you think something's broken or fixed, then I call it, addressing something. If something's already good, kind of like when you think of Russell Wilson. I mean,
Right.
that guy's, his mental game is incredible, and he's got a sports psychologist that he works with.
Right.
And his sports psychologist basically works on the things that are already good, and he's trying to make it better. So he's trying to enhance it.
Gotcha.
So a lot of it, though, it just depends on the need and what's up for that team, individual or coach. Now, for me, I do a lot of mindfulness work. I do a lot of intentional work. Everything to me is all about energy and breath. We start there for the most part, but depending on the issue, I might not start there. But typically, man, if we want to be present, we want to play present, and we want to actually, if we want to be great, if we want to achieve greatness and excellence, we've got to learn how to be present in the here and now, because greatness and excellence does not exist in the future or in the past. It happens right here where our feet are. So a lot of it is a lot of breath work and a lot of energy work.
Yeah, because I can only imagine just from playing baseball. I mean, you're in the on-deck circle. You're swinging the bat. You see the pitcher going. There's a little bit of nervousness coming in there. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter if you're playing peewee ball or you're playing at the high school or college level, whatever, or even pros, I'm sure. And there's a little bit of nervousness. Obviously, the more times you do it, but even still, you see a lot of times when the pro athletes, they take a nice big deep breath and out breath. When they're batting. Especially they're getting ready to, because I'm sure they're feeling that little bit of pressure, especially if you're in a big game, a World Series game, or a playoff game, or even just a regular game. I'm sure you have 30,000 people watching you, and you're just like, holy shit, I'm up. It's me, and I'm sure it's in every sport. You get the ball on the 3-point line, you're about to shoot it, and maybe you can't take a full breath, but I'm sure there's something to that where it's like, you got to get your mind right before you just throw up that shot,
Right. Totally.
And making sure that, you do it with your best effort, because obviously we can throw up an air ball real quick, but if you really thought about it, maybe for 2 seconds, take a quick little breath or look and, visualize it going in the bucket. I think that's always the biggest thing that has helped me with like playing basketball is when you visualize that ball going into the bucket, it freaking does. I mean, it freaking does. It's that level of focus, right? It's like, you're just not letting anything take you and distract you. So that's fascinating. I'm fascinated by that. So do you tend to prefer to work with teams, or do you like working individually with coaches and athletes? It just kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah, it's either or. I think, to me personally, I do like the one-on-one.
Gotcha.
It's just more intimate. I get to plug in more into that individual. And I'm very kinesthetic. So the feeling part, the energy part, when I'm one-on-one, it's, I like that. Now, again, I still get that experience when I'm working with a team, but you're dealing with more energy. But it's just a different dynamic. And trust me, I love doing that as well. But if I were to pick like where I'm like the most comfortable, it's like when I'm doing one-on-ones.
Right. Yeah, I could see that being the biggest impact too on that athlete individually. If you're talking to a team, maybe someone takes away, some people are not listening. They got their own egos. I'm sure these kids are 18 to 25. They got egos involved. And they're like, who's this guy Grant telling me what to do, man? Who's this guy?
Right.
When you get one-on-one, you start building some characters, you start to build, some respect and you trust, and you keep showing up for them. And then maybe, they have a great game all of a sudden because of some of the insights you gave them, and I think that's the payoff. So I commend you and shout out to you for finding something that kind of wraps around your passion of still playing the game in a way. You're getting to play through them.
I do. And it's really cool that, with my experiences as an athlete, as a coach, and also all the adversity that I had to go through for the past 2 decades, along with my 17 years in corporate America, I was in sales and sales leadership and management, that I have so much to offer. And at the end of the day, I brought up energy earlier. Energy is my offering. And as much as I love being in service, as much as I love being, in the environment of athletics and just performers, it doesn't have to be athletics. I mean, you could be a CEO, a doctor, as long as I'm working with, you could be a singer, an actor. someone that's performing, that's what I connect into. But it's more behind it and under it is my energy. So I get to share my energy. I get to share my knowledge, and I also get to learn from my clients. And that's the thing that, I'm not going to say people in my role, they don't learn from their clients. I know they do, but that's something that I focus on. It's like one thing they're going to learn from me, but I'm also going to learn from them too.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure every day. Yeah, I'm sure that there's different little tidbits that come across, or, hey, you know what, Grant, well, what about this, man? Like, I'm sure that they're pushing back on you sometimes for what maybe they're going through a different challenge that maybe you haven't addressed, or maybe you didn't think of it that way.
Or even their aha moment when they I'm doing my thing. I know how to get them there, but then they have this realization that I didn't see coming up, or they just got an aha moment, like that breakthrough. And for me, every time I experience a breakthrough, do you know how awesome that is? That is right. That is to me, that's the shit.
That's like your Olympic gold right there in a way.
Yeah. It's like, man, this is why we're doing the work. It's to get the breakthroughs, man. And so, and there's more than just that, but when you get to experience someone get it and they get over their shit, or they get over their baggage, or they just get better, they get stronger, or they strengthen up a process, man, it's just, it's a great feeling. Great feeling.
Outside of the check, that's why you're doing it. That's why you're in the business. So you're in the business. We all got to make some money. So my man's making money at this, but the reward is the actual impact of their lives too, as well. And
I always say mission over margin, man. Like, I need to make money. I guess I need to make sure that I'm living. Right. But man, it's more than that. It's mission over margin, man.
Oh, so true. I see the one that would be super big for this too is PGA, because it's a mental ass game, man. I mean, those that play golf know this shit is mental, man. You get in your head, man, on a golf course, just a regular golfer.
Oh yeah.
You can really screw your freaking day up by just getting in your own head. It's insane. Like, if you can forget your past swing on a course, like, that's why I think the brilliance of a PGA golfer, the high level player, is that, shoot, Dustin Johnson will go hit one into the woods somewhere where the normal person would fall apart at that point. Right. He goes out there and takes a 4-iron and gets it up somewhere near the green and gets a birdie somehow. You know what I mean? And the normal person, gets frustrated, starts hacking at it, and has a hard time to reset that mindset on the next shot. I think I've seen it too many times, not only in my own game, but just even we're playing with some buddies. All of a sudden the dude's having a great round so far. And next thing you know, he has one hole. We call it a blow up hole. One hole, folks. And next thing you know, he's just shooting crappy the rest of the day,
Right.
So
totally.
It's fascinating. I think you could help a lot of people, obviously, also in business. So when working with teams, what do you find is one of the biggest challenges right now that people have, either they're in business or on sports? Like, obviously, maybe selfishness, people egos, not willing to work with each other. What's the biggest thing you kind of address a lot of times with these teams?
I think within a team setting, it's hard to say. I can answer the question more so from an individual basis, okay, but if I were to even answer from a team perspective, I think it's just getting everybody to, when I say this, on the same page, but it's to buy into the culture. Is everyone showing up, being vulnerable? Are they living the language and the actions of the culture? And, when you have a big team, when you have 40 plus 50, sometimes 60 people on a team,
right.
Or you have a large program, in high school, you have a varsity, JV, and freshman, and you're trying to create this consistent culture. It's like, how do we make, that's probably the hardest, getting everybody bought in. But when people are bought in and thriving and connected to the message, man, it's beautiful. And I always say this again, a coach-led culture is cool. It's great. There's a lot of coach-led cultures, but when there's a player-led culture where they're bought in every day, they know exactly what to expect from themselves and hold people around them accountable. It's beautiful to see them show up and start practice before coach does, or get all the equipment out before coach does, and break down all the equipment without even being asked. Right. And making sure all the trash is picked up in the locker room, all that stuff is beautiful to see. So I don't know. I think it's just, to answer your question, is just to get everyone going in the right direction and bought into the culture. Now, I think individually, what I've seen a lot is, it's just dealing with failure, the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things that spawn off from that, but I see that a lot is just because, right now, everyone, when you're competing in anything, I don't care what you're performing in, there's always, because we're human, we have this thing that the need of looking good versus the fear of looking bad.
Right.
So you get caught in that. And I get it why we get caught in it, but we have to learn how to balance that and live between those two of looking good versus, failing. And what does that look like when we fail?
Right.
And so, and having a different relationship with failure. So if you do have a good, healthy relationship with failure, then you can succeed more. You can build more rhythm within your success.
And I'm sure a lot of these folks, they probably are fearful that they're not going to make it as a pro,
Right.
Like, that's in the back of their head. Like, shit, I might not be a pro athlete or a pro baseball player or whatever, like, I'm sure that's in their head. And it's like, I'm spending all this time, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm not even make it here.
Well, I mean, that whole process, that mindset, what I call is PreLiving. Like,
yes.
Okay, why are you thinking about if you're not going to make when you say be, what are you being right now?
Right.
So let's not even worry about what the future is like. Whatever you're doing now is going to dictate what you are going to be in the future. If you're going to be a collegiate baseball player or professional baseball player, we're not even there yet. So let's focus on the process, so that drives the results to get us to where we're at.
Yeah, you always think of players like Tom Brady, drafted in the last round of the NFL. It's like,
yeah.
Or, one of my favorite guys back in the day as a Cowboy, Tony Romo, not even drafted, And so a lot of times it's just amazing how certain folks that they get the opportunity and then they just shine, and then there's other guys that are drafted number 1 or number 2. What's his name? Ryan Leaf, or one of these guys. And great athletes, great guys, just could not transfer that amazing skill to the field. Also, I always think about right now, because rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, one of my favorite, not only sports athletes, but also puts in the work on the business and all those things he was doing with this production company. And dude, they talk about, Kobe. He wasn't necessarily the greatest athlete basketball player. He just worked harder than anybody, and he understood the angles of the game, and he put in the work. And some of these other guys that were in the NBA, he saw real early on that they weren't even working that hard. They just had the talent. They just were that good talent-wise. But then what happens is, as you know, is the hard work always beats talent. If someone's putting in, 500 extra shots every single day, 1,000 extra shots every single day, that person, like Michael Jordan, who didn't even get, or got cut from his high school basketball team, is now Michael Jordan, and so it's so true. I think it's, thinking in the future, maybe sometimes it's good to have goals, but hey, if you're not performing today, you're probably not going to be in the NBA. If you're not scoring 30 today, you're not going to be scoring any in the NBA, probably. Most likely.
Right.
And my other question is this: how the hell do you keep a team's attention? Because I'm sure I already know. I've spoken to the high school, college level. You got knuckleheads in there. There's people that just, who the hell is this guy, Grant? I already know everything. How do you keep that team's attention when you're talking to them?
Well, I think it starts with even before you step into the room, whether if it is the environment, if you're going to be on the basketball court, baseball field, or you're going to go in a classroom, the locker room, you as the mental performance coach, you need to check your energy, your frequency.
Gotcha.
And when you know what your energy is, and you're actually doing certain things to enhance it, increase it, and you're getting present, you're getting connected with you're building awareness. And while you're doing that, you're connected to your EQ, your emotional intelligence. So when you get dialed in and locked in, even before you meet the team, you walk in, they feel your energy. My shit shines. They know it. Like I have a hard time sitting still. I break dance because I make it fun.
Right.
So that's the thing, is when I bring good energy, that's going to start off, I think, them being connected to me. Now, I'm 46 years old. I don't know what it's like to be 16, 17, 18 years old living in this society right now.
Right.
I just don't. So, and I don't know what's going on. Every kid has a different dynamic and different situations going on in their mind and their soul. So I can't, if they don't want to like do any of the work we're doing, or they want to like talk and they want to be a distraction, right? I can't plug into that. Like, as much as that I want them to be plugged in, man, I got to stay in my lane, and I got to take care of my energy, and I got to make sure that my content is dialed in, because there's a fair amount of kids that are dialed in. They are locked in.
Right.
And so, and again, I'm not trying to neglect some of these athletes, but I'm ready when you are. So, and
Yeah.
I'm showing you that I'm ready right now. If you don't want to, especially in high school, some of them don't want to breathe. They don't want to meditate.
Right.
They don't understand like why is it important for me to talk to myself and have mantras. And that's cool. Like it's all right that you don't want to do that because it's your choice. And I'm
Right.
teaching you to actually empower yourself with choices. So, but if you're not ready now, man, I don't even care if it's next year. I don't care if you go back to college and you come back to me and say, hey, you know what, Grant? Well, you were teaching. I just wasn't ready for it. Now I get it. Like I've had that multiple times. So
I bet
think it's just,
these words you say last with them a lot longer than just the one session or whatever you're coaching with them.
yeah.
So true.
So
That's
you just got to stay. Yeah, you got to stay in your lane and show and just And again, I have a lot of empathy for my athletes. It's just maybe at that time they're not ready for it, and I'm okay. I used to take it personal. I used to be like, oh, why are they disrespecting me? What do you mean me? Like, why am I making it about me? I don't know what's going on in their life, So just show up and blow up, man. Just show up and do your thing,
Right. I think for anyone listening or talking or wanting to be inspiring, I think that's a great point. It's like you got to show your energy first. And then don't worry about if someone's not wanting to take that knowledge and run with it. There's always going to be someone. There's one kid. There's one person in the audience or one prospect or whatever that is actually listening to you. They're taking notes. They're mentally taking notes. They're all in. And that person that you impacted is going to be way more than those that maybe aren't, the message isn't hitting them at the right time. Right. It's like, give in to don't go the opposite way, because I think that's the biggest fear of people that maybe are doing public speaking or out there trying to grow their business is like you might run across a customer and they don't give a shit about you and they don't want to talk to you, and so you just say thank you so much, give out your energy was right, you gave the message, and then if they didn't take it, that's on them. It doesn't matter what age, right?
And more often than not, people will experience your energy before you even say a word.
Right.
So that's why it's really big to understand what your frequency is, because, and when you walk in a room, they can already sense, especially if you're bringing like the good shit, people can feel it and they get attracted to you. So it even makes it like the whole, any kind of beginning of a conversation easier because you're open, you're inviting. But when you're closed down and you're negative and, and you got shitty energy, man, it's really hard to be seen. And I've been there before. I've been in workshops where I've been all in my baggage and I've been in a week long, workshop, and people don't get me. They don't even see me until like the third day because I had to go through some shit.
Right.
I was closed down. They didn't see me. I wasn't making myself available. So I think energy is huge, and people experience and they make assumptions and meanings of you based off your energy even before you say something.
Yeah, with just like a quick 3 seconds, you already feel someone. You already kind of get where they're going.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure with you too, it's probably got to be interesting too, because maybe the coach is bringing you in, but then there's a little, you and the coach. The coach is like, "Who's this guy coming in and trying to show my squad what's up?" Has that ever happened too with the coaches?
It does, but I think that's part of this whole process. Is, to be honest with you, when the coaches are bought in on the front end, it makes the whole buy-in process way much like smoother, because the athletes, they're constantly looking at the coach for direction, right? So when the coach is bought in, supporting the language, when they're like, participating, then it's way the process is bought in. So, but sometimes you don't have that opportunity to work with coaches on the front end. So you have to spend the same amount of time with the athletes, with the coaches throughout the process. So you just got to spend time connecting with them and making sure they're a part of the process.
And I'm sure, like anything, once they get bought in and they know you're bringing that hot sauce, my man Grant's bringing the hot sauce today, they'll probably build that respect with you. Next time you see the athlete, they're like, shit, that shit worked, man. Thank you so much, Grant. I've been doing meditation. I've been doing this,
Totally.
My game face is on now. I'm ready.
Exactly.
So that also leads me into your podcast. So you have a 90% mental podcast. What kind of topics or what are you talking about on the show?
So basically what I do is the show is to bring just awareness around mental performance or mental skills training by interviewing athletes, coaches, former and current, also sports psychologists, authors, sporting executives, where I'm literally interviewing them so they can share their stories and their journey with their mental game. So, and if it's not necessarily about their journey per se, then what we're doing is we're talking about certain topics, like culture, fear of failure, or
Gotcha.
fear. So there's, preparation, routine. Some incredible people on my show. I mean, I've had Drew Bledsoe, Roger Craig, Mark Shapiro.
Wow.
I've had Ryan Murphy. I've had a lot of just Olympians, pro athletes, incredible coaches. So it's been awesome.
That's one of the most amazing things about being a podcast host, right? Like the people you thought you'd probably never get a chance to talk to.
Exactly.
So awesome. But now we're about to take you into our top 10. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram.
Chicken or steak?
Steak.
Laptop or a smartphone?
Oh.
That's a tough one, huh?
Smartphone.
Let's get it. We can go anywhere. Spotify or Pandora?
Pandora.
Movies or video games?
Movies.
Reading books or listening to books?
Reading.
Stocks or real estate?
Stocks.
Oceans or lakes when you're thinking about a vacation?
Ocean.
Oh, yeah. I love that. And when you wake up in the morning, Grant, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're brushing your teeth. You're getting things ready for the day. Why do you love being you?
Man, just like I said earlier, my energy, man. That's when I'm shining and I'm living and I'm thriving, man. Like, not only is it great for me, but it's great for people around me. So it's just my energy.
That's awesome. And not everyone has great energy. So shout out to you, my man. We need more people with great energy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Do you think you'll ever retire?
Yeah, I think I will, but I'll be doing this for a long time.
You got a long runway.
Yeah.
40 years, maybe. 40 more years.
Yep.
How do you typically start your day? Do you have a routine?
I do. Now it's changed a little bit, but a lot of it starting with my breath work, even before I open up my laptop. So I'm doing breath. I'm doing gratitude work. Looking at my calendar so I know exactly what I need to do and set my intentions for the day, and then boom, then I go.
Boom. Do you have a certain amount of time that you do breath work for?
I spend a couple minutes on it. And depending on what's going on in my day, and my breath work might turn into more like meditation.
Gotcha.
But my breath, I connect a lot with my intention.
So taking that deep breath, feeling what it feels like to breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a nice exhale of breath. Do you have a skill you want to master? It's a new year, 2020. Is there something you're looking to master, get better at, perfect?
I think for me, it's, I'm doing a lot more video work.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Creating more video content and training programs. So that's kind of, that's on my horizon. That's what I'm focusing on a lot right now.
That's awesome. So bringing that same energy level to a video, even though there's no one on the other end, but you're impacting a lot more than you realize when you take a video.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's hard to create that energy because you're just looking at like a little Skype cam or you're looking at a Logitech or whatever. And you're like, I got to bring this today. You got to envision you're talking to Tom Brady or something. God damn it, Tom. Who are you going to be on? What team are you going to be on?
Right.
You're coming to the Cowboys? Come on, man. Are you coming to the Cowboys? You going to the Raiders? Where are you going?
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite app or something on your phone, a tool that you like using on a daily basis?
There's a few of them. Yeah, I like Calm.
Calm.
There's a new sports one. It's not new. It's been around for a while. There's one called Lucid.
Lucid. Okay.
Lucid, and then also Head Sharp is a newer one. But I think I used to do a lot of the sports focused ones for myself, but now I think I'm kind of gravitating more towards Calm.
Calm, yeah. Calm is a great app. Unbelievable app. Very easy to use, and 5 or 10, 15 minutes of gratitude will change your day, folks.
Yeah.
Couple last questions here for you, my man. Be real. If you could sit down tonight for a steak dinner, who would it be? Who would you want to take out to a nice dinner?
Oh, to my wife, for sure.
Oh, yeah. My man's winning points. Duh.
Yeah.
Bring the wifey. Well, we just want to thank you, Grant, for all your time and energy today. I love what you're doing for your athletes and what you're doing for entrepreneurs out there and business owners. My man, I just think your business and platform is going to continue to grow. I wish you lots and lots of success. Folks, you've been hanging out with my man, Grant Parr and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you again for your time today, and let's keep being real. Right now, more than ever, folks, we need to work on our reputation for our businesses and get those reviews, get those positive reviews, get those positive recommendations on both on your social, but also to market on your website. And that is why you want to check out my business, folks, our software, realtimereputation.us. That's realtimereputation.us. Please check it out. It is literally the best thing that's ever happened to many of our campaigns, as that reviews bring together your social and digital campaigns. And the more positive reviews, as people are making those positive, decisions, they're looking at your, at your reviews. And so the more you can get, the better. And make it easy and automated with realtimereputation.us. Check us out. What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today.